That's enough screwing around! You are a wanted criminal after all!
Leocadio, also known as Leo, talks to his adoptive brother Sides about his new job as an imperial guard. Then we meet Inumael Grower, also known as Inu, who is being rebuked for his laziness. Leo arrives and offers help, after which we see the terrorist gang known as Headkeepers planning something suspicious. Inu is summoned by his supervisor and Leo spots a mysterious package, so he loads it onto Inu's car. Now, Shake checks the area for the package, but is unable to find it. Unfortunately, Inu is caught with a dangerous box and is put into prison over possession charges even though he is innocent. The Headkeepers learns about this and decide to break Inu out of jail. They do so with ease, and our hero has no other choice but to go with the supposed villains. Leo learns about what happened with Inu when his seniors discuss the breakout, but suspects his involvement with the enemy. Now Inu is introduced to the other gang members, and then they notice a military convoy approaching. The Headkeepers try to escape but are left with no other option, so they bring out the weapons and attack Leo's team. An intense encounter follows, and we see how skilled the soldiers are when they use magical weapons to gain an advantage. Unfortunately, Sides is killed by Inu when he is about to stab Shake. After a lengthy struggle, the gang manages to escape, and Leo is left heartbroken as he has lost his brother. Inu wakes up to some food and hospitality but notices a girl infected with a disease known as luminosis. Her mother, Gizrella, says that this is a common occurrence in the village, and then Benjamin reveals that the Imperial army has sealed off the city. Luckily, the Headkeepers manage to escape before the army reaches them. Benjamin and Klaus split up, while Shake babysits Inu in order to avoid getting detected. Meanwhile, Leo gets to see the darker side of his leader Hellman when he sees him torturing a hostage named Damien. The soldiers chase after the gang, so Shake makes it back to the cabin, while Gizrella acts as a decoy. Unfortunately, the sacrificial lamb is apprehended by Leo and taken to Hellman. Gizrella's daughter leads Shake and Inu to save her mother, but the illness starts to take over, so they have to rethink their strategy. Gizrella is questioned by Hellman, but she doesn't give in so easily. Leo has to witness her getting tortured, and then the armory is attacked. Inu makes use of the distraction to rescue Gizrella and reunite her with her daughter. However, Hellman learns about Inu's sister Sissel and plans something sinister. Now we see Elfried, also known as El, coming across a secret safe in the Holy Library. Leo is ordered by Hellman to kidnap Sissel, but it makes him conflicted. The gang heads to the Good Hale domain in order to sell more weapons, but the car breaks down and they find a dead body, after which even more corpses show up. Later, Elle reveals that there is a conspiracy of corruption in the kingdom, but her boss Fritz doesn't pay much attention. Now, the gang decides to split up, and Inu reluctantly agrees to go with Ben and Shake. They run into a group of villagers and ask for help with their car. The leader Hanoi wants to know if his granddaughter Detrell and her sister Yasmin are among the bodies as they had recently vanished. A demon beast watches on as Shake and the others take refuge for the night. Here they learn about some sick twisted experiments that are apparently being run by the military. Inu runs into a monster and is rescued by Yasmin, but he messes up, and the demon chases after them. Luckily, the others show up and scare the beast away. Yasmin is happily reunited with her grandfather, and then Shake and Inu explore an abandoned lab where they see evidence of the monster research and a lot of cold fire. The beast attacks the gang again, and they fire at it, but she is too fast for them. The resulting chaos causes Yasmin to fall down, but Inu identifies that the monster doesn't like loud sounds. He exploits this and kills the beast, but she is later revealed to be Dejrel. Now Leo and his ally Conrad go looking for Sissel, while the gang tells Inu about the history of humans and mutants. They eventually find and tell her about Inu's crimes. She is shocked to learn this and talks about how she was raised by her brother. Leo is reminded of his own family upon hearing her story and pleads with Conrad to reconsider their approach. Now Elle is given a new mission to breach the Center of Disease Prevention in order to uncover more dirty secrets. She begins her task and comes across some disturbing research notes that talk about using cold fire to heal luminosis. Elle uses her trap magic to gain access to a hidden book, but runs away when the alarm is sounded. Now Hellman meets his peers and they exchange some banter, after which Diet member Mary Bolt enters the room. She laments the rise of weapons trading and warns of a headkeeper attack. That's when Elle learns about Mary's involvement in the corruption of funds. Then, she comes across a dangerous research subject, but is taken down by a mysterious villain, later revealed to be Mary's son, Radboud. In a flashback, we see how Hellman and his mother were mistreated by his illegitimate father, who would call them his slaves. The torture became too much for his mother to handle, so she committed suicide, and this was what turned Hellman into a villain. Shake's mother, Lady Minerva, approaches Mary and asks her to stop the experiments, but she reasons that the king wants her to continue. A flashback shows Shake getting ignored by her dad after being abandoned by Minerva. The team enters Guthail in their different costumes, but Shake is identified by some of her friends. Inu is shocked to learn that she is actually a member of the royal house, and then Klaus sends him to buy some booze. Inu manages to overcome a brief argument with a man named Jade while doing so, but eventually hands the bottle to a boy who lies to him in order to get it. Shake comes back home to her maid Arya, and then she finds her mother's diary, where she notices the same symbol as the ones in the abandoned lab. Now Inu learns that Jade is the leader of the Guthail branch for headkeepers. He mentions that Elle has gone missing, and then the gang learns about a new demon drug. Shake has dinner with her dad and tries to talk to him, but then he is informed about something and decides to keep his daughter locked inside the mansion. Then, Hellman takes Sissel for questioning, and it makes Leo worry for her safety. He becomes upset when Hellman arrests her, but his boss tells him it's the only way to catch Inu, who is now fully involved himself with the headkeepers. The gang comes in contact with more allies and learns about the Diet clan, covering up some murders and kidnapping Elle. They come up with a strategy to rescue her, and then we learn that Klaus's sister also has luminosis. A girl named Irma chats with Inu, but then he spots Leo and Conrad. They meet a drug doctor named Faust, who tells them about the antagonist drug. Inu eavesdrops on their conversation and learns that the soldiers are aware of their plan. He immediately goes to Irma and tells her to inform the others about this. Leo spots Inu and tells Hellman what he saw, but the evil commander acts a bit too calm for his own good. Meanwhile, Ben and Arnold follow the doctor and find all kinds of strange experiments inside a lab. They spot Elle and save her from one of the incubators, after which she tells them that they must inform Lord Gorge about the experiments. But then, Radboud activates cataclysmic light and makes all the test subjects transform into overpowered monsters. The soldiers are no match for these beasts as they wreak havoc upon the town. Inu breaks into the lab to rescue his friends and evades a monster, after which he finds Ben and Arnold. They explain that the beasts have been cultivated from this lab, and then they come across Elle in her monster form. The battle wages on, and Leo manages to take down one of the monsters, while the others try to figure a way out of the lab. Luckily, Irma arrives to rescue them, and then we see Mary telling Radboud what to do next. Ben and Arnold return to their base, but find all their colleagues murdered by Hellman. They make a quick escape, but are followed by Leo, Conrad, and Hellman. Now, they reach a restricted area that Hellman reveals is filled with cold fire. Inu and Irma hide in one of the abandoned buildings and try to understand how Elle was turned into a monster. Suddenly, they are exposed and chased by the soldiers. A hectic scene follows, and then they run into a dead end. Inu and Irma are cornered, but then Elle arrives and attacks the enemy. A soldier sets off an explosion, this forcing Conrad and Inu to enter a temporary truce. Conrad tells him about Sissel being in the capital and reassures him that she is safe. They come across a massive bit of cold fire, and then we see Ben and Arnold getting out of the rubble. Meanwhile, Mary gets a promotion from the king so that she can look after his son Armlet. Then the king meets Queen Charlene, who is pregnant with his child. Suddenly, Hellman confronts Conrad for siding with Inu and holds Sissel hostage. He even fires at his own soldier. so Inu offered to jump off the bridge in exchange for his sister's safety. However, El shows up and thrashes the enemy soldiers, thus allowing Conrad and Sissel to escape. Inu fires at the monster and lures her away, but ends up next to Conrad again. The both of them fight El, but it seems as if she's trying to talk to them. However, the soldiers don't listen to her, and then Irma joins in to kill the monster. Unfortunately, Hellman returns with Sissel as his hostage and thinks back to how he tortured his evil father, thus leading him to commit suicide. He begins to hurt Sissel, but is then stabbed by Leo and dies. El wakes up and gives Inu a crystal, which must be handed over to Gorge as soon as possible. She mentions the corruption conspiracy and it confuses everyone, but Inu manages to connect the dots. Leo refuses to believe this, but Shake reminds him that the military is already very corrupt. With no other choice, Leo and Conrad decide to join the Headkeepers to uncover the grand scheme. Leo tries to extract information from inside the military, and then he meets Conrad, Irma, and Sissel to tell them about Dr. Faust. The girls leave the room, and then Conrad reveals that he has also been infected with the luminosis disease. Leo rushes to Faust to ask about his research, and he decides to humor him. Faust explains that his work eventually led to the creation of the antagonist drug, and the entire operation is being spearheaded by Radboud. Realizing that El was right, Leo and Irma ask Faust to join them and he agrees, although he behaves creepily. Unfortunately, Leo is arrested by his men because of his snooping around later on. He is forced to slave away with the other prisoners, and then he meets Damien again. He offers to work together so that they can break out of prison, and Leo agrees to do so. They come up with a plan to escape, and Damien gets to work by bribing the guards first. Later, Leo steals some keys but gets caught in the process, so he throws them away before being sent to another cell where he is able to talk to Minerva. He realizes that she is Shake's mother, and they have a discussion regarding the current political state. Meanwhile, Gorge meets the gang and learns about El's death. He identifies Inu's gem to have the Cliff of the Crystal and takes us back to a flashback where we see him talking to the king about an upcoming disaster that will be caused by cataclysmic light. Then Gorge explains the king's plan to use various props such as the cradle and luminous seeds in order to combat the upcoming disaster. But these plans have now been corrupted by people like Mary. Minerva tells Leo the same story and reveals that their Diet clan is filled with anti-imperialists that want to take control of the government. One of these villains is revealed to be Jade, who has already betrayed the Headkeepers. The gang learns about his involvement, and even Shake realizes the truth behind her father's actions. Gorge confirms that Mary and Radboud are the masterminds behind the whole plan, and asks the gang to expose them to the king. Later at night, Inu also gets infected with the disease, and then Shake arrives to tell him she's going back to her mansion. Later, Gorge sends Inu and the others to the king with a crystal. Leo is taken out of solitary confinement, and then Damien reveals that he managed to get the keys after he was apprehended. Then he blows up the prison with dynamite, and Leo uses the confusion to escape. Damien tries to leave through the tunnels, but runs into Hellman, who has now transformed into an overpowered monster. Leo saves him and fights the demon, but he is too powerful for him. Even dynamite isn't enough to take him down, so Damien sacrifices himself to kill the monster with a train full of bombs. Meanwhile, Charlene gives birth to a baby girl named Rose. After escaping from prison, Leo is reunited with the gang, and then everyone discusses whatever they have learned so far. Inu wants to infiltrate the drug center, and then Conrad asks to be left alone with him. They see each other's condition, and Conrad seems to be in horrible form. Inu and Irma meet Faust and ask for help, so he provides them with fake ID cards. The team gets together to discuss their next plan of action, and then Leo has a private chat with Inu. He apologizes for killing Zaitz, and they seemingly gain some kind of closure. Now, Arnold and Leo break into the mansion and infiltrate the secret base. Meanwhile, Ben and Inu use their IDs to enter the drug facility, but become suspicious once they notice it's empty. Leo and Arnold find the luminous seed, but set off an alarm, so Leo has to duel with the guards, while Arnold figures an escape. Then Inu finds a library, where he spots a book that has the cure to luminosis. However, he is interrupted by Radboud, who finally reveals himself as the true mastermind behind everything related to the Cataclysmic Light. Now Shake confronts her dad over his wrongdoings and is also greeted by Jade. He is about to shoot her, but Klaus luckily snipes him from a distance. However, Fritz activates the real luminous seed and an intense explosion takes place. All the residents begin to transform into monsters thanks to the Cataclysmic Light, and the entire town is in chaos. Inu manages to survive the blast, but so does Radboud, who transforms into a monster and attacks him. Inu's illness has grown worse, but this seems to give him powers and it allows him to dominate his opponent. Leo finds his friend soon after, but gets attacked by his monster avatar. An intense battle breaks out, but Leo is beaten down quite easily. Somehow he also seems to awaken a mutation and puts up a fierce fight. After an intense session, Inu gets distracted when he sees Sizzle's locket, and Leo takes this chance to kill him. Before dying, Inu hands over the book he found so that Faust can work on a cure. Leo escapes with the others, while the cradle unleashes a barrier. We also see Ben retrieving Inu, and then Mary celebrates the beginning of a new empire. 2 weeks later, we see that Inu has survived and he manages to save Rose before her mother dies. And that's the end of the show. Like, share, and subscribe to show some love, and tap the bell icon for notifications. See you later!